Welcome to the Unstoppable Success podcast, where we spotlight visionary leaders who have mastered the art of growth, purpose, and powerful connections. I'm your host, Jacqueline Strominger, connector, high performance coach, and creator of the Leap to Your Success framework and 2 Steps to Yes. Each week, we dive into bold insights, real conversations, and powerful strategies to fuel your growth, deepen your relationships, and ignite transformational momentum. And why? Because you were meant to be unstoppable. Now, let's leap into the podcast.
One of the things that
Whoops. Okay. Hi, I'm Jacqueline Strominger, and I am the host of Unstoppable Success. So, welcome to another amazing episode. And on this podcast, we hear from great leaders and people that are professionals, entrepreneurs, and we get to hear all their great tips and their wisdom so that you can have unstoppable success. And I get to talk today to Andrew Bolton, who is the CEO and co-founder of Tech Rescue. It is a human-powered tech support company built for seniors, small businesses, families, and anyone tired of playing tech support at home. He's a Harvard-trained financial strategist with Wall Street roots, and Andrew brings a sharp economic insight and street smart storytelling to every conversation. And let me tell you, we have had some amazing pre-show conversation. So let me just get right to it. So Andrew, welcome to Unstoppable Success.
Thank you.
So right before we hit record, we were talking about, with your business, you are building a call center in South America.
Yep.
And we talked about the human touch. So I'd love for you to expand on what you're doing with your business and how you are helping bring back that human touch.
Well, it all started with Dad trying to forward an email and he didn't know how to do it. And my father's been around since punch cards in computer systems. For anybody who doesn't know what that is, we have one at our home. It's a frame punch card. It looks like exactly what you do on a Scantron. If anybody from high school knows your Scantron, A, B, C, D, E, all right, those correlated to numbers, and those numbers correlated to a code, and it went down the line, and you would have stacks of thousands of these, and they would be numbered. And that was computing back in the 1950s, was computing. Rooms the size of stadiums were these machines. And now this that you have in your hand 70 years later is more powerful than the computers that sent Neil Armstrong to the moon.
I was just gonna say, in the movie Hidden Figures, right?
Exactly. That machine is exactly what computers started as. And when he asked that question, I said, Dad, come on. And I looked online with Mom, and believe it or not, yeah, Geek Squad was there. There were a few other people. There was nobody available 24 hours a day. You can get anywhere in the United States, you can get a macchiato, a Mickey D's, and and have the guy stop at Wendy's for a Frosty and deliver it at 3 o'clock in the morning. We can have Uber Eats delivered at 2 in the morning, but nobody can help you with something on the computer. It's only business hours. That I kind of had a problem with because that made no sense. So we started playing around with it, and people really kind of took to it. And I went, okay, maybe there's something here. And then when we started looking at all the requests that we got coming in online, there was one common theme: communication.
Hmm.
Whether it's a grandparent that's trying to get in touch with their grandkid on PlayStation and play MLB or Fortnite or instant messaging, or trying to figure out how to make a call on WhatsApp, a face call. All the themes kept circling around the fact that we just want to communicate with one another. That's all it is. And AI, and I know we're going to talk about it, and I know everybody's talking about it, but
I
AI has been
do.
the number one thing that has proven this theory correct. We love convenience. We as a people love convenience. Who doesn't want to have things as fast as lightning? But there's a problem. It doesn't really talk to you. Yes, I know, ChatGPT, you can have, wonderful, weird conversations with your remote robot boyfriend or girlfriend, but I'll be honest with you, there's no replacing a good conversation, witty banter, and an inside joke. I'm sorry.
Right.
It's just not going to happen. I've seen it now for 3 years. And as technology advances, our business increases. People don't want to talk to robots. I don't know how I have to explain this any other way.
I love that you're saying this because because like all I'm thinking about, well, there's a few different things. Number one is me. I'm pushing the button. I'm like, can 000 representative.
Is
No,
that a
I
thing?
don't want to speak to the AI bot. Oh, I want a human because do I actually want to give you my credit card number on a bot that I don't know where it's going to go? I don't trust it. Number one, right? And I want a human. I want to talk to a human. I want people. Everybody wants people. We all hate the representative. We all want representative.
So there's two things. Number one, companies have done away with human interaction for legal reasons. You can't sue a company that you can't get in touch of.
That's true.
How are you going to sue me for negligence if you can't talk to me?
Hmm. Good
How?
point. That's
You
a
can't sue me. I haven't talked to you. I haven't broken our contract. And if you call us, there may or may not be a record of the call, so you haven't really filed a complaint. So we're not legally held liable to anything. It's a brilliant plan. It's
that is
brilliant.
brilliant. That is brilliant.
And number two, and probably the more important aspect of it is what Jamie Dimon has recently put out this month, and Palantir, and we have now gotten to the point that it's nothing but garbage. So I'll explain. If we look at ChatGPT, DeepThink, Artista, Canva, all of these AI bots and tools, the AI is plugged into the internet, the world. Okay. So when we think about the old jokes, right? Your parents, you being a little bit older than me, would be yelling at me like, "What are you watching on TV or what are you watching on the internet?" It's garbage, right? All the garbage, all the PhD materials, all the engineering blueprints, all the recipes of the world, everything and everything and everything and everything and everything is in one gigantic pot.
That's true.
It's probably not going to be the most cleanest, most proven type of result that you get. The For example, last month, Jamie Dimon on the bonds market was using AI to do a report. The beginning of the report, as he mentioned, was going fairly well. Towards the middle, it was all garbage. The problem with these AIs is that they run on a two by two matrix, means that they live within this little box, right? This little balanced box that the AI can answer a yes or no question to, yes or no. And it's a tree that branches down, right? So every little question branches itself down. The problem with that is where it's pulling its information from. Where are you pulling your sources from? Because, as you know, people create stories about characters online, fan fiction, conspiracy theories. All of these things are out there, and that's all being absorbed and it's all being brought forth to the particular question that you may have asked.
But everything on the internet is true. Just kidding.
Oh, no, no, it is true. Like, it depends. Is it alternative facts or not?
Right. Right.
And, but in a weird way, that statement alone is probably one of the most dangerous statements we have ever made in our society.
Right.
I don't know if you're familiar with the book Candle in the Dark by Carl Sagan,
No.
Demon. So Carl Sagan is this scientist who in 97 wrote a book. called Candle in the Dark. The discrimination, the discrediting, and the devaluing of science.
Ooh,
For generations, there has always been one thing true, science. NASA, we, whether we were right, whether we were left, whether we were conservative, whether we were liberal, NASA made a discovery. This was science. This was proven. The entire international science community said, yes, that theory holds true. That's fact. Regardless of politics, the Earth turns at 13,000 miles an hour. That's fact. We can measure it from a satellite. When we started creating these words of alternative facts, well, that's all. No, 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 no.
right,
That's not true. Water boils at 212 degrees Fahrenheit. That hasn't changed.
right.
But when we've gone ahead and said that's alternative facts, we've opened up Pandora's box to this idea that AI now could be the be all and end all. And we've forgotten one important thing. We're the ones running the show.
Right. We're human. We've forgotten the human connection. And it's so I love what you're doing, in helping people, bringing technology 24/7 to people
Mhm.
because it is true. Like I have a home office, right? And I'm a pretty smart human being, but every once in a while I'm like, why is that not connecting? Why is that not working? I, and it's true, like you don't have um and things change so fast. It's not my business. I'm not in the business of technology.
No.
So I love what you're bringing to people.
What most of the things that we're doing is relieving a lot of the anxiety that comes out of it. So, for our business, we don't have a typical call center. We have people that we specifically look for that can handle what we call hot calls. If you call Tech Rescue, you're not in a good mood. You're not there to chit chat. You're angry, you're upset, you're frustrated, you're confused, you're busy, you've got things to do. I don't have time for this, but I got to get this done. So we call them hot calls. So right off the bat, right when the phone picks up, it's a hot call. It's amazing what can happen when a human talks to another human and says, Jacqueline, hi, this is Andrew from Tech Rescue. How can I help you today? I wish I could just send heart monitors and blood monitors to our customers just to see what level of drop of blood pressure just having a human does on the phone. That's an experiment I would love to do.
You could have them do video calls and then just see their faces just calm because it's true. And I will tell you it's so funny that you say it's so truthful when you're saying because it's like when you get somebody on the phone, by the time if you're calling somebody and you want to speak to a customer service representative for a problem you are having, and I do this all the time. Like if I let's just say for example, I'll call American Express and I'm having an issue with something that's on my card or like whatever it is. And I'm pissed because I can't get to the person. It's taking me forever. I got to answer, got to do all the security shit and all that crap. I'm like, okay, finally get to a person, and I've already hit, representative and zero 1,000 times, and I will literally say, I am so sorry that you're on the other end of this call. I apologize if I'm going to be snippy. I am so frustrated with your system. What is the way that I could just bypass it? We don't have one.
One of the other issues with that, as we found, is the CRM systems, the customer management systems that are used by the banks and used by everybody, is that information isn't transferred over to the agent because I guarantee you, when you get somebody on the phone, you now need to give your name, your telephone number, your email address, the card number, all the information. And then you say to yourself, well, what the hell was I doing for 25 minutes just now?
Right. Why do I have to revalidate myself?
Like, clearly, like I'm in the system. Clearly, you have me. I just want a representative. You're telling me that your multi-billion dollar company, your multi-billion dollar company doesn't have the ability for that agent to look at the computer and say, oh, Jacqueline's calling. No, we got to start this process all over again,
Right.
which once again proves my theory in terms of what we consider optimization or optimizing our companies has done nothing more than just peel back layers of personnel in our companies to streamline or optimize. And we have gotten no better service, no better streamlined capabilities. Like, this is one of the things that I would love for one of the medias to really grill a CEO and go, great, for 25 years, you've optimized your company. You've laid off 13% of your operational force, 2% of your logistics force, 3% of your sales force, and maybe 4% of, whatever. What's your customer rating so far? What's your turnover rate? Has it gone up? Has it gone down? I'm glad that you're making profits. I'm glad that your bonuses are going through the roof. And this in 2026 is why tech rescue is going faster than even I can handle. Because what it is proving is people are just sick and tired of just being handed this high school tray plate of nothing and then being told to be happy about it.
So I have a question. So I mean, communication is so important, and for me, like, one of the things about having that unstoppable success is being able to communicate, right?
Hmm.
Being able to actually answer the phone, being able to actually have a conversation. So, I'm kind of curious, like, you're in Bogota.
Yep.
You also have, offices in somewhere in the United States.
Colorado.
Colorado. So I'm curious, what do you see and if there is a difference in the level of ability to communicate with again, not to call out your staff or the people that you interview, because I'm sure the people that you bring on are perfect. But what do you see as a difference in like US versus like let's say Bogota in terms of communication skills?
Well, Americans are a little bit more, are definitely a lot more streamlined, a lot more straightforward. Um, we here in South America, there are two different lives that get lived between the two of our countries. Americans are obsessed with goal orientation. We have to go to the next thing. Um, and in South America, there's this, there's an attitude of basically, if you have it, great. If not, do you need it? And if not, do you really need it? And when you get somebody on the phone, they're much calmer. They talk a lot more. They want to chit chat a lot more. Um, and emergencies aren't like our emergencies that we have, right? So if you think about an American emergency, you might be trying to finish up a project. You might be trying to be finishing up a report. You just lost it. Your system crashed, it refreshed, and all of a sudden, all of your work is gone. It didn't autosave. Any one of your listeners is probably having a small little panic attack right now because they're thinking about that exact moment.
Right. Or you're the college student, right? Ah, I got a paper due in 12 hours. Right.
Oh, I was going to say more like in three.
Right.
I was like
I was
12.
being
Somebody had
generous.
actually, 12. Somebody's actually prepared.
I was being generous.
I was going to say, I think you're being a little bit too generous for this generation. And that's another, and unfortunately, we can put a pin in that, or I could jump
Yes.
right on that one.
Well, let's talk about the thing, and then we could talk about
Well, that it correlates to that
yeah.
as well. But Americans are a lot more task oriented focused. There's a timeline. It's a very New York attitude. It's very transmissional. California is the closest thing that I could possibly say is of South America. If it's there, it's there. If it's not, it's not, and it's not really that big of a deal. So there's a need, but the type of need is a lot different than what we would have in the States.
Hmm.
And getting back to that comment, that's one of the things that I'm extremely nervous about in terms of our future as a country is the type of young people that are coming up. I have a major, major problem in hiring. I don't have a talent pool that can handle the type of work that I do. Here's a question for you. Do you have any younger nieces and nephews?
So when you say younger, what age?
Late 20s?
Well, yes, I do. But I have an 18-year-old and I have a 20-year-old.
Okay. For the 20-year-old, what would you say their temperament is to conflict?
Good question. I think I probably would avoid it.
Can't really avoid somebody on the phone. You're getting paid
Right.
to help them.
Right. I'd say I would actually kind of rephrase that. I think my kids are a little bit different. Conflict within two people, if they, like if you and I have if discussing, my kids know how to talk on the phone.
That's
My kids know how to walk up to people at the grocery store and have conversations. That's because of me. Because
that's good
right,
parenting.
right? Like my kids are different in the sense that like my son would prefer to talk on the phone to his girlfriend than text. My kids prefer to talk. My one of the things that people have said to me, and I is that when my child, one of my kids, will have a conversation with you, they're going to do something that most people don't. They're going to look at you in the face, they're going to shake your hand, and they're going to make eye contact.
Oh, they're not going to look at their phone in between sentences? My point exactly.
Right. And it is. And I that's why I was asking about about communication, because I feel like we have gotten away from teaching people to have conversations so that your talent pool, and I can totally understand that, because so many younger generations, people coming, whether they've gone to school or not gone to school, they have lost the art of conversation because they do everything in 140 characters, or however many characters you can type, or they can voice text, but
Mhm.
they're not actually having the conversation.
This problem goes back before 2020, but I, and on a personal note, my doctorate that I want to do is on a social economical level where I think we as adults, the governing body of the United States, we messed up as adults by allowing these kids post-COVID to go off into the world.
Mm.
During COVID, I was stuck in Boston with my ex-wife, and family friends had children who were going to school, and they were logging into class. But I know for a fact that one of them, because he would text me, because he got into old video games, and I gave him my old Nintendo 64, my old Sega Genesis.
Yeah.
He's a retro kid. He loves the retro stuff.
Right.
He was texting me, complaining that there's no code for Sonic the Hedgehog. You get 3 tries. You don't beat the game in 3 tries. You got to go back to the beginning. I said, yeah, that's how it always worked.
Right.
And if you were an arcade, you would need to put another quarter in.
Right. Exactly. Cost you more money. You got to get good at it.
Yeah, just that alone, just that statement alone, we did away with challenging in video games. Anybody that knows this game will know exactly what I'm talking about. Sega Genesis Lion King, the giraffe challenge. You had to jump from giraffe, 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 and if you fell, that was the game, and you got to start all the way back from the beginning. I cannot tell you how many times my mother had grounded me for losing my patience, using words I was not supposed to even know at the time. And my mother said, "You're too emotional to be handling video games." That was an insult to a 9-year-old. You're too emotional for this video game, my mother said to me.
Wow. But it's interesting that you say that, because it's so true. Like we have not, and I don't know what made that shift, why we decided it was
Tell you,
good to stop challenging and,
tell you why.
it's giving everybody the trophy.
Uh,
God
Please.
forbid you actually have to work hard for something.
All right. Do you want me to stir? You want me to stir the controversy pot?
Oh, go ahead. I love it.
Middle child and baby child syndrome. Baby boomers, on average, the baby boomers, the children of World War II veterans, on average, had a 4 to 5 child family.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
My mother was the youngest of three. Two older brothers, Marines. My grandfather was a Marine. So my mother always trying to find her spot in the family because she's not a son, she's a daughter, and she's the youngest. So there's that navigating of the field, learning to be tough with brothers, learning to be a princess with grandpa. There's that whole dynamic. So I was raised a little bit tougher, but the kids that I grew up with, because many of those children were the middle child or the baby of the big family, they may have not gotten the accolades that their older siblings would have gotten. So with that, they did the trophy thing, and that became a thing. That became our staple. Fast forward in 2020, we had the lockdown. Nobody went to work. Nobody really went to school. And then in 2021, we're like, okay, this all still makes sense, so we'll continue to do it. So meanwhile, for a year and a half, no kid was really ever learning. No kid was ever really engaging with one another on a playground or in school or in the cafeteria. And then 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, those kids are going off to college. And college professors, if you've listened to the Harvard Review, you listen to Yale, MIT, Stanford is screaming at the top of its lungs, Princeton is screaming at the top of its lungs. These kids don't know how to read, write, do math. Interpersonal skills don't exist. Conflict resolution skills don't exist. The moment that these kids are put into a challenge, they collapse or they fight back, or next thing you know, they're going on on social media saying that the whole world is unfair against them. This attitude perpetuates and it continues. And I'm sorry, I know I'm just a business owner and I only have the pool in which I can pull from to hire people, but if for the past 5 to 6 years, nobody's to blame for anything that anybody does, and I'm just me, or it's whatever. No, it's not whatever. And this is the problem that I've written on LinkedIn on some of my articles is that one of my biggest fears, and I know this is a little off topic,
Yeah.
but it relates to the communication aspect of it. If nobody has ever learned to deal with conflict resolution, if nobody has ever dealt with a bad boss or a fellow employee, you're now affecting my work. You're not working. You're not doing the job that I hired you to do. And by the way, for all the young listeners out there, business owners don't care about your feelings. We're paying you to do a job, not to be there, not to look cool, not to take selfies, not to take pictures. You're hired to do a job. I know this is off topic. I just want to take 20 seconds to an audience just to dump some cold water on it.
Go for it.
If I pay you $20 an hour, that's costing me $200 a day. I'm out of pocket $200. By that definition, you have to produce, you, the individual that gets that paycheck, in order for you to be worth that next week's paycheck, I have to see a return in my business that correlates to you putting out more work than you're paid for. That's how capitalism works. I'm sorry. Communism failed. Fascism failed. The only thing that still exists today is capitalism. And if you want to put rails on capitalism, that's fine. But guess what? The math still has to math. You
Right.
have to produce more in the time that I give you than you're worth. And if you're not doing that, what do you think I'm going to do?
Bye-bye.
And I'm going to go get somebody that's cheaper, faster, and better.
Right.
Ta-da! Capitalism 101. What a concept.
But so what you're saying though, I mean, it's so true, first of all. And I want to bring this back to like success. And I think this is where I feel that if you want to have success in your business, you have to understand something very important, and that is data. Number one, data does not lie. So whether you're talking about as an entrepreneur, what are you doing on a day-to-day basis in your business, the data doesn't lie. But you need to look at the whole picture, right? And as you just, said before, it's asking the companies today, how do you rate on customer service? Now, I'm curious about your take on this because I find it to be absolutely horrific. Guess I shouldn't give my opinion at the beginning, but right now so many people don't do customer service right. And when I say that, meaning let's just take um, the car company. I go to buy a car today. And before I leave, even if I lease the car, before I leave, the salesman saying, please make sure you give me a 5-star review because my commission is based on that. What the frick? Like, right? Like, I understand, like, maybe a bonus. I get that. But your full paycheck? Or, you know, and they're doing this now in hospitals.
It could
Oh,
be, yeah, or it could be a guilt tactic.
it could, right. Well, I mean, but then you get these
What?
repeated
I'm trying to make
customers, right? Like, so I'm curious, like, what's your take on, like, how can we do a better job at actually,
doing what we're supposed to be doing and taking care of you.
yeah,
Well, first and foremost, what is your company? So we can do this in terms of the talking about the success of the overall arch of success, right? The very first thing I say to entrepreneurs, I've been on I've gotten this question on a couple of podcasts is number one, why are you in business? I didn't ask what you do, I asked why. Because that why is the most crucial thing ever in the world. That why is going to be the reason why you get up, you work 3 different jobs to make your dream come true. If you don't have a why, then you might as well just stop right here and now because you ain't going to make it. I'm just gonna, I don't mean to be mean. I don't mean to be rude. I'm just going to say this right now. If you don't have a why, I will personally come for you if you're in my space because I will smell it. I'll smell it on your company.
so true.
Number two, now that you have a reason why, what is it that you stand for? What is the thing that no matter what happens, for example, Costco, CEO of Costco said our hot dogs are not becoming over $1. That ain't happening.
Right. And their margins will never go over 15%.
That's a why. That's a why and that's a what. That's a company that says this is what we do, we're not deviating from it, and this is what we offer. That's a great company. Whether you shop there or not, that's a great company. That's a building block.
It's awesome. Right.
With that attitude, it trickles down. It trickles down. So now we get into the success part. You have, as the business owner, you have to lead from the front. You have to be the person that is the example in which all things are. And if you're not, you better find the person that is and make them the superstar because that's where you're going to be successful. Listen, Pizza Hut and Domino's, what's the difference between the two cardboard boxes? Absolutely nothing. McDonald's and Burger King, what's the difference? Yes, besides all the other aspects of it.
Because
When you
one, I can sing their jingle. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
But when you're dealing with the consumer, your consumer is the most sophisticated than it's ever been. It has the most options it has ever had. Why am I going to go to you? What about you is anything different? Mercedes, Volvo, BMW, Audi, Mercedes. All right, what's the difference? They're all European cars. They're all more expensive than they should be. All of them have been made right now to break within a year or two. The BMW M7 and 7 Series is now notoriously a joke in the mechanic community because every single thing about that car is meant to break. The Germans have figured out how to make the perfect 2 year, that's it, boom, it's done. Because we've designed it that way. Why? Because that's what we care about. That whole issue of you're going to lease everything, you're not going to own anything, and you're going to love it. Guess what? That trickles down. So you have to ask yourself in success, what is it that you stand for? What is it that you're doing and why are you doing it? For us, we care about people because my mother, my grandmother, my family, me getting on the phone, I'm not going to name the name, but it's an insurance company with a lizard and to wait 45 minutes just to have somebody retell my entire information all over again. I went, no, I'm not doing this.
You know,
So
and I just think I think it's so important that we do, and I'm so glad that you're saying this. I feel like I talk about this till I'm blue in the face. You need to know why you're getting up every single morning. And I feel like there's a lot of companies that are out there that have forgotten their why. They've gotten so big that they forget why they started.
And I'm going to tell you this right now. They're never going to go back because why should they? If I'm the internet and you know who I am, right?
Mhm.
Why would I care about you? I've got more government contracts worldwide that can feed me over 3 years in advance. What one person, by the way, try to get them on the phone or try to communicate with that particular company in any way, shape, or form, because we have. It took us 4 days, and we're a corporation getting in touch with another corporation. 4 days? 4 days? I have to wait 4 days with my tech team going back and forth to finally get something. And this is the biggest company in the world with trillions, with a T, trillions. Are you kidding me? And you
Right.
wonder why I'm successful. And you're wondering why I'm successful. I got to wait 4 days to get a response from the biggest company in the entire planet that hires more engineers than anybody else in the world. And I got to do 4 days. Are you kidding me?
And that's insane.
But guess what? They don't care. And why should they? What's your to download to get 1 terabyte from them in make believe, because it's all make believe, really. Really what this is it's
Right.
fugazi. It's it's fugazi. It's the
Mhm.
cloud, right? And they say, "Oh, we have limits." What do you mean you have limits? You have limits on imagination? What are you talking about? You have limits. It's make believe. You made it up. Make it up again.
Right. Right. Make it up again. Right.
But it's $19. $19 a month for 1 terabyte of storage. Now, you want to get in touch with them? Good luck. I'll take your money, but I don't have to answer your phone call. Why do I have to answer your phone call? Who are you? You're one person in wherever. I don't.
Right. Why do I need to take your call? I mean, there's so many companies that are like that. I mean, I can
You've
name
gotten past the point. So I think there's a threshold. I think at $1 billion a year annually, that threshold of I don't care about anybody is finally quantifiable, right?
That's an interesting way to put it. Right. It's interesting though when you actually ask a question like this. Actually, do you think, for lack of a better word, there's going to be a breaking point or people will start saying, "Uncle, no more. I'm gonna find the company. I'm gonna find more companies like you, your company. I'm gonna find more companies, like, Tech Rescue, where I know that I can actually get a person on the phone. where I know that, or I might switch my social media platform to X, Y, or Z when I know I could actually, if I'm going to advertise, I could actually talk to a person on the phone. Is there an uncle point? Is it like when do we say uncle?
This is the part that I don't think you're gonna like.
Go for it. I don't.
I don't, to be honest with you, I don't think that day will ever come because number one, the baby boomer generation, my mother's the youngest, and my mother's now 69. My father is 78. That generation will be exiting within the next 15 years, which will leave us, the X's and millennials, as the top tier population of the planet. And we are going to be the last of the generations that remember what customer service was. Every baby born from 2000 has had a cell phone in their hands since childbirth. The babies of 2020 and 2025 have been born into artificial intelligence. They don't know anything different.
Hmm.
Every generation moving forward is going to know less and less and less and less and less and less. And the way that we're programming, if all, and this is where you made the mention of being successful in your business is also being able to take many steps back and looking at the big picture, right? Let's say you're a mechanic in Boise, Idaho, let's say. Well, if animatronic tractors are going to become the thing, you're no longer going to be dealing with driving tractors capabilities. You're not going to be dealing with the same drivetrain. You're going to be dealing with a whole new ballgame. You're going to have to start getting good at computer systems. Caterpillar, and maybe Deere in the next 15 years are going to have computerized machinery that being a mechanic is no longer a mechanic. You're now an engineer.
Right, you're a computer engineer because you've got to figure out how to fix the computer system that's running something.
But
Right.
guess what? That generation of kids is going to be learning that from the get-go. That's the world that they're going to be taught. That's the world that they're going to be designing because that's what they're told to be doing. If we want to change the world and make it somewhat rational, as I would say, we have to do it. We have to do a full stop and walk it back. I know this is a little political and I know this is a little controversial, but I had this discussion last night at dinner and I asked, how do you think it's going to get better? When has anything that we have done as a society, as a society, right? When have we ever learned our lesson and went, no, 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 no. We've been there, done that. We're not going to do that again.
I cannot say when.
Okay, then. So right there, for your audience, right here, this when I say we have to take a step back and taking your personality and your opinions and what you believe and what you feel, and I hate that word. FEEL should be erased from everybody's dictionary.
Right.
You now, you and I both agree. We have never learned our lesson as a society. We've never turned back and went, nope, we've learned that lesson. We're not going to do it again. We just go keep doing it. So there's a book I'm currently reading. Actually, I have it right here. I apologize.
Yeah.
Decision making in a changing world. This was
Oh,
my father. This was my father's back in 1971. This book is circa 1971.
wow.
It
Okay.
talks about the introduction to management systems, basically the things that we have now,
Right.
right? Everything that we have now. This was being introduced in 1970.
Oh, what happened? I don't know.
We ran out of time.
Oh no, I have unlimited time on my Zoom.
Uh,
Anyway,
so, but getting back to the book,
yeah.
This book in 1971 was talking about how the world was dealing with raw data, right? In real time, people were able to put in information into a global system that companies had, and then managers and assistant managers and directors could pull data and get real data. And a lot of executives in this book wrote that they had issues with that because they've done everything by feeling. Young, executives in the 60s and 50s learned how to do things by feeling. They knew the markets because they knew the suppliers, they knew the customers. They had a sense of what it was. Well, a sense went out the door when we had real data.
Ah,
No,
interesting.
your gut feeling is great, but this set of data says that that product is going to sell a lot more than that product. We went in decision making off of data, not feeling. So here we are, circa 2026, and we have AI. We have all these companies coming up with AI this, AI that, shop that this. You know,
Right.
we
It's
haven't learned our lesson.
right. It's so interesting because, I feel like this is so, you know, it's a topic I could talk about forever and a day because at the end, people matter and we forget about that, again, it goes back to the human connection. If you're running a company, you need to have people. You need to know who you are and you need to know your values, and when you align with values and you can communicate properly, you become a rising tide that's going to lift all the boats. Like everybody's on the same page. But when you just become a robot, it doesn't work the same way.
No, it never will.
Right. And it never
It
will.
never,
Well,
it never will. Listen, AI, ChatGPT, DeepThink, all of these tools are very, very powerful tools. They're
tools.
tools. That's all they are.
They're tools. Yes, they are tools.
Just like just like a hammer or a chainsaw, they have a specific purpose, they have a specific job, and they're great at what they do. But it still takes you to do it.
Right. There's still a human involved. You know, I, s- I could talk to you for hours and about this. So let me ask you a question. What makes you so unstoppable? What keeps you going?
Uh, do you want a corporate political answer or do you want a gritty answer?
I want the every answer you want to give me. I just want the one that comes from your heart.
Oh, I'll give you a true honest answer. It's gonna stir the pot, but
Okay.
I'm not worried about this young generation coming up for our business. I'm not. And I say this as a loving older cousin, maybe. You don't got that fight in you.
Mhm.
You 20-year-olds, you don't have it in you. You're soft. You're weak. You cry to your mommy because the teacher was mean to you. You you have to emotionally post a picture of your food, of what you're doing, of where you're going, of I'm with Jimmy, I'm with Sarah. Look at us. You need to see me for me to feel validated that the whole world saw what I'm doing because I need everybody to see me to let everybody know what I'm doing. Nah, you don't have what it takes to come up against people like me. I eat, breathe, sleep this. I work 24 hours a day. The phone call goes off at 3 in the morning. I'm getting up out of bed to take that call. I got a problem in California where my marketing team is. I'm flying out to California. I'm not, well, let's schedule it on. No, no. If there's a problem, I'm on a plane. What makes me successful is that Generation X, the millennial generation of our parents, that we were thrown outside on Saturday morning. You had pancakes, and I don't want to see you till dinner.
Right.
That was my mother. She threw me out of the house at Saturday morning and said, "Don't come back until the street lights on." That's how we grew up. We made it up as we went along. We solved our problems amongst ourselves. If we got in trouble, we didn't go running to mom. We hid it from mom.
So true.
Everything about your younger generation is the opposite of mine, and it's proving itself. You can't read, you can't write. I've seen the resumes that you've sent me. They're garbage.
So true.
Well, what about, yeah, we're talking about a select few. I'm in math. I do standard deviation, and I'm talking about the bell curve. The bell curve, you better pray, you 20-year-olds, you better pray that Elon Musk gives you universal income. Because as far as I'm concerned, I don't know what job you're qualified for. And I'm not trying to be the bad guy. I'm really not. But heart to heart, cousin to cousin, what are you good at? No, for real, in all honesty, what are you kids good at? What are you good at? We built tree forts with shit we found around people's yards. We were building ramps to launch our bikes as fast as humanly possible off of barrels and crates.
Mm.
We bragged that we broke an arm and got stitches and how many stitches we had. It was a badge of honor. You kids are afraid of the dark. And this idea of, well, I'm sorry, we haven't gone anywhere and we're your bosses. And this is the thing that I don't understand. And to answer the question about success, I'm successful because you could tell me no, I'm still going to show up. I'm still going to keep coming. That word no means nothing to me because my goal, my objective is far more important than whatever opinion you have. All right, you said no. All right, I've got 400 million people in the United States to get in touch with. There are 95 million seniors over the age of 65, 95 million of them. One person doesn't like my business. Okay, cool. I've got a pool the size of the East Coast just in one demographic. And that's not including small businesses, which only registered, are 114 million. How many moms and how many dads have side weekend hustles where they're mechanics or they're washers or they're cleaners or they're something? They're businesses, they make money, they're doing whatever, but they're not registered. There's a lot more of those than 114 million.
Right. There's a ton of those. Yeah.
And not to be too mean, but you wet bag of noodles are going to be the thing that blocks me from that? Really? Really? You think, well, I'm just gonna tweet a nasty, I'm gonna have a nasty tweet and my feelings are so hurt. Cool. You can tweet and I'll ask you another question. What's your job? What are you doing? Where do you go to work? And this and that is on of itself the issue to any parent of a kid that's 20, 25, 26. What are they good at? What do they do?
Right. Well, they have to, yeah. And you know what? They have to find a talent. They have to find something that that's going to make them go. And that's, you know,
Because
and they have to
I can
learn
tell
to
you,
use,
the number one job that we've seen come in to our applications, influencer.
oh dear God.
I'm not kidding. I am not kidding. The majority of young, under 30 applicants for our jobs, the number one job that they all have in common, influencer. They listed on their resume as influencer. Take that off your resume. Take it off your resume. If you are not making $100,000 as an influencer where you can prove it, take it off your resume.
Right.
I don't want to talk to you. I'm not even looking at your resume. I see that word on your resume. I don't care where you went to school. I don't care who your daddy is. If I see that word on your resume, you're done.
I would
You're
never even a million years ever thought that that was something that was on people's resumes that they would put influencer.
It is. The self-importance of this generation is unfathomable.
That's crazy.
And you ask them, what have you accomplished? What are you most proud of? No one can give me a real good answer. I would accept, oh, I backpacked through Nepal. Okay, that's a life experience. Oh, me and my friends, we promoted a few bottles. We've promoted a few drinks. We've done I've done a few modeling gigs here and there. Okay, cool. How is that going to help on a customer service call?
So interesting. It's so fascinating to me to hear because I'm not hiring people and it's interesting because one of the biggest things that I work with people in a lot of different capacities, but just had a conversation with somebody the other day about somebody who is in a dead end job. Like they're not happy with it. I'm like, well, let's look at your values and see what really gets you excited and kind of work backwards. But again, influencer would never be something that I would say, hey, why don't you go be an influencer?
Well, here's a homework assignment for you to, go for anybody really. If you've got kids 18 and 20, ask them what their older friends are doing. Like what's their LinkedIn profile look like? What's their professional look like? Because kids, I hate to say it, eventually not everybody's going to be sponsored by Nestle. Not everybody's going to be sponsored by Evian water. Oh, and my favorite right now is the travel abroad travel advisor, right? This work of like you're going to travel abroad and you're going to be the travel advisor abroad and you can work remotely. So everybody's now a travel advisor. Everybody's drop shipping. Everybody's doing this. Okay. Does nobody see what I see?
You and I see it. Andrew, I could talk to you for hours about this, and we've been talking for an hour, but I want people to know how they can connect with you because I think actually what you were doing for Tech Rescue is so important. And hearing about what you were doing, it is changing the way that small businesses and we humans actually can get connected with people for something that's so important. So what's the best way people to connect with you?
You can go to www.techrescue.io or call us 24 hours a day at 855-250-8586. And stay tuned because if you're out of the country and traveling, I'm going to give you that next international number when we set it up.
Oh, I love it. All right, listeners, do me a favor. This is Unstoppable Success. Do me a favor, share this episode with your friends, relatives, business associates, because this is such an important conversation that they need to hear. And then you have to do me one other favor. If you haven't already subscribed, go over to our school community where we were sharing tips and tricks and lots of great things for you to learn over on school at Unstoppable Success. Thank you, Andrew, for being an amazing guest. And thank you, listeners.
Thank you for having me.
Such a pleasure. I'm going to hit stop. Thank you so much for joining me on the Unstoppable Success podcast, where we don't just talk about growth, we leap toward it. If something today lit a fire within you, sparked a new idea, or gave you the extra push forward, please don't keep it to yourself. Share this episode and podcast with a friend, colleague, or fellow high achiever. Be sure to subscribe, rate, and review, and most importantly, connect with me, Jacqueline Strominger, at leaptoyoursuccess.com for coaching, community, and your next bold move. Keep leading with intention, keep building your network with purpose, and most of all, keep leaping because you were meant to be unstoppable.